Today, I have your book and I want to return it to them. I'm sorry, what language are you speaking? English? Those are neopronouns. What's that? Okay, so instead of using he, she, or they, Morgan uses ze, them pronouns. Does that make sense? Oh, sorry. I use he, him pronouns myself. It's okay. It's new for you. It takes time. Anyways, I saw Morgan in the library this morning, but I haven't seen them since then. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it. Bye.
Hello, my beautiful friends. It's the lesbian Snow White here, aka the pronoun gal. And today I'm going to show you how to use rats, pronouns, and sentences. So let's go. Rats? Like ratatouille? No, these are just neopronouns. And I understand how that can be confusing because, you know, you've never heard of them. But it's because a lot of people are judgmental, which is why we make these videos so more people can get comfortable with using them in person. I swear the world is like a wave. You gotta be like, okay, nothing is real, you know, let's just pretend like it is. Let's let's do this thing. And there's no point in making fun of people because the world is so weird and that's okay. That's awesome. Let's just embrace it instead of being like, no, you can't do this because I don't want you to. It's okay if you make a mistake. I know this is nothing that we've learned and a lot of neopronoun users understand that as well. As long as you're learning and you want to learn for them, that is the best thing you could do. Therefore, you're a rock star. And who doesn't want to be a rock star? Anyway, Rat is such a great person. Rat's smile is so contagious. In fact, I saw Rat make a whole audience smile. I think Rat should be very proud of Rat's self. Rock on! Woohoo! We did it! Oh my god, I believed in you and you believed in yourself. Also, happy Pride Month! Look at all these rainbows. Look. Pride Month is for the neopronoun users. Pride Month is for everybody. Well, you know. Pride Month is for everybody who wants to be the most coolest person in this world. So if you like Pride Month, you also like neopronoun users. Anyway, I love you all so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I love you.
Pronouns, xenopronouns, neopronouns. What's happening here? What is this? This video has been requested a bajillion times, which tells me that allies are deeply interested in affirming who we are and understanding our community better. So if that's you, if you're an ally watching this video, or an ally sent it to you and you're an ally, if your ally is doing ally work and wanting to understand, thank you. You're doing the extra credit, and we appreciate it. If you are trans yourself or non-binary and want a deeper understanding about some words that may affirm you, keep listening, keep watching. Pronoun is a part of speech. He and she are the usual pronouns that everyone grows up with and thinking of referring to one person. But of course, they refers to one person as well. Someone left their umbrella. They as one person. But there's more to this story than just he, she, or they. I'm non-binary and my pronouns are they, them. So if you were going to talk about me, you would say, Jeffrey is an amazing author. They are really attractive. They being used in place of he or she to refer to one person, in this case, me, because I'm non-binary. Neopronouns, literally new pronouns, refers to the creation of a new word, a neo word, to go in that slot. So a common one is Z. If my pronoun was Z, you would say Jeffrey is a brilliant thinker. Z is one of the most attractive people I've ever seen. You'd say a lot of things, I'm sure. So that is the creation of a brand new word to put in the slot where he, she, or they would go. Xenopronouns, perhaps one of the most beautiful concepts, one of the most poetic ways to approach this subject. Xenopronouns refers to any pronoun a person has that is unspeakable, that is unworkable in the language of a person. So an example would be a xenopronoun would be a word, I can't even say it, right? Because that's the point. They're unsayable and sort of effervescent and unknowable, kind of like a person's gender. That's why I love this one. So an example would be, a xenopronoun would contain a set of letters that is a pronunciation that a human being can't pronounce. It's some sound that a human being can't pronounce. Or that a xenopronoun contains an image or a concept that it's alluding to that is actually something that language has no way to express. The movement of understanding where non-binary people come from can sometimes take us into very lofty, beautiful, spiritual, poetic places. Thank you for your willingness to understand, and thank you for your willingness to honor us.
Here's a quick rundown on neopronouns for people who are open-minded and curious. For context, hi, my name is Asphyxiapon and my pronouns are he, him, bun, bunny. And before I get flooded in the comments saying I'm not gonna call you a bunny, take a good long look at my bio and come back before you comment something that's gonna make you sound like an idiot. I'm also reading from a script that I have on my iPad so that I don't miss anything. First things first. What are neopronouns? Neopronouns are essentially any pronouns that aren't common in everyday speech, such as he, she, or they. Examples of neopronouns can be non-existent words such as sie, zen, your, etc., but they could also derive from already existing words such as void, star, luna, and bunny. The types of neos that I just referred to are also called noun self-pronouns or xenopronouns, but both of those terms fall under the neopronouns umbrella. A reason why someone might want to use neopronouns could be just for fun, as not everything has to have some sort of deep meaning, but others might use it as a way of feeling gender euphoria. Noun self/xenopronouns especially are typically, though this isn't always the case, used by people on the spectrum, as we all establish that gender is a social construct, right? So for someone on the spectrum who might not have the same view or philosophy on gender as everyone else, sometimes they don't feel any sort of attachment to normal pronouns when expressing their personal gender identity, and therefore turn to things such as their special interests, whatever it might be, as it can help them give them a gender euphoric feeling. I personally use neopronouns for both reasons. It sounds fun, and it gives me euphoria. Also wait, let's take a moment to appreciate my gloomy bear onesie. I want to get into some common misconceptions I hear about neopronouns because a lot of it is just speculation and misinformation, and therefore it makes it hard to decipher what is or isn't true/factual. Number 1, neopronouns were made by Reddit/4chan incels to make fun of the trans community. My god, this is something I keep seeing, yet it's so easy to debunk, as the first signs of neopronouns being used were actually in the 1300s by poets and literary figures. So unless 4chan or Reddit existed around that time, the origin of neos didn't trace back to hate forums. Number 2, noun self/xenopronouns were made to mock trans people. Again, there's no source backing up this argument, so almost everyone is pulling this out of their ass. Although there currently isn't any research being done on the origin of these specific pronouns, the origin of the label, noun self-pronouns or xenopronouns, can be traced back to early Tumblr. The labels were not made by incels, but by people who are actually in the LGBTQ community. But even if these were made to mock trans people, if anything, that gives us full right to reclaim it. So the excuse saying that it was used to harm us is such a silly argument. Number 3, this specifically is directed at me in my comments. I'm not gonna call you a bunny. I'm going to tell you something that might make you lose your shit. Okay, you ready? You ready? Then don't. If you actually took my advice and looked at my bio, you would also see that I use he, him pronouns. This is for people who aren't comfortable using my neos. However, if the rare chance you encounter someone that exclusively uses neos and you don't want to use them, just simply don't interact with them. The thing that people don't get about pronouns is that they don't equate to gender identity. Although they can give gender euphoria, they aren't gender itself. Put it this way, let's say a cisgender man uses he, they pronouns. If we were to go by the logic of pronouns equating to identity, abiding by the social construct that typical pronouns are placed in, that man would also be identifying as non-binary because of the they pronoun he also happens to use. Just like how you can use they, them pronouns and still be cis, you could also use neopronouns without it equating to your gender identity. Nobody is identifying as a pizza or a kitten, and the majority isn't even forcing you to use them. Number 4. They aren't grammatically correct. This argument is usually referring to noun self or xenopronouns, as a common excuse people like to make is that they're just nicknames. While yes, it can work as a nickname, the thing that separates the two is context and intent. If you intend it to be a neopronoun, it's a neopronoun. And also, nicknames can't be used in the context of where a pronoun ends in self, such as himself or themselves. If it is being used like that, then it makes it a neopronoun and no longer a nickname. Because it would be grammatically incorrect to use something with the intent of a nickname as a pronoun. And I know it sounds odd that noun self-pronouns are essentially taking the place of a noun, even though they're already nouns, but again, it is dependent on context and intent. Plus, there isn't any literary source condemning the use of a noun inside a noun with the context of it being used as a pronoun. And I don't get why people care so much about being grammatically correct, as I guarantee there's at least one thing you commonly say in your day-to-day life that isn't grammatically correct. You don't care about grammar. You're just reaching out for some sort of excuse to label them as invalid. Number 5. Doesn't work IRL or in professional settings. This awfully sounds familiar to what everyone was saying about they-them pronouns. Funny enough, they-them pronouns actually used to be neos, as at some point they were created and not widely used at the time, considering they-them pronouns weren't even the first gender-neutral pronoun to be used in the English language. Going back to its use in real-life settings, a majority of this generation's online personas can't even be used in professional settings. So I don't really care unless you're my employer. And funny enough, I have a job, or I'm even open about using my neopronouns. Yet oddly enough, nobody has said anything trying to argue with me about them. Also go to public school, and believe it or not, I'm not a chronically online person who doesn't have IRL friends. I have IRL friends who I've even posted TikToks with. So I don't know what you want me to say. By the way, those friends also know about my neos. And what do you know? They don't have anything negative to say about it. Number 6, they don't work in any other language. This was an interesting argument I've come across, but that all depends on the individual language structure, as there's some languages in the world that just use one singular gender-neutral pronoun for anyone regardless of gender. Good example being Hungarian. Some languages don't have pronouns that end in self, like herself or themselves. So it can work in some languages if they have a similar structure to English, but not every language uses pronouns the way the English language does. So all of that depends on the specific language you're referring to. And it's just like how there's certain words that can't be translated from English to other languages because they simply don't exist in that language. So there can't be a direct translation. Number 7, it is harmful to the trans community because it makes them look bad. Something you commonly hear being said about neopronouns is that they're making the trans community look bad, which I find very stupid, as you're referring to being looked down upon by people who already don't accept trans people. It very much sounds like you're trying to appeal to them and kiss ass. Like, why are you appealing to the oppressor? Either that, or they're saying that it makes us look bad to people who already accept us, but are considering otherwise because of neopronoun users. And again, I find that very stupid, as you're trying to appeal to people who would switch up because of one aspect of a pretty broad community. I find it really stupid to fixate on appealing to fake allies who quickly become transphobic because of something they don't like. Because of this, I'm considering not supporting the community altogether. If someone is saying that, then you shouldn't be trying to appeal to them in the first place. Now, I will admit, neopronouns are tricky and confusing. It is also difficult to determine what is genuine and what is mocking. Things like attack helicopter, trash self, ACAB self, or kink-related things like daddy or mommy self are obviously harmful and mocking, as not only does it make neopronouns entirely a joke, but it also sexualizes them. Now, how would you use neopronouns in a sentence? I'll be providing 2 examples. One using a noun self-pronoun, and the other using a regular neo. For the noun self-pronouns, let's use Luna/Luna self-pronouns. Instead of saying he is getting his umbrella so he doesn't get himself wet, you say Luna is getting Luna's umbrella so Luna doesn't get Luna self wet. Now moving on to the regular neo. For this example, we're using Z/Z self-pronouns. Instead of saying he doesn't like his hair and wants to change it himself, you'd say Z doesn't like Z's hair and wants to change it Z self. If you feel like I missed anything and still have questions, please comment below, as I'd be more than happy to make a video answering your questions. Of course, if you're respectful about it. If you, however, come off as ignorant or as a troll, I'm most likely going to delete your comment. Anyways, thank you all for watching.
I was gonna make a funny joke about this, about like, haha, that's actually extremely liberal. But actually, I wanted to talk about this because some of y'all would be really unhappy to learn about who people like you would have been 20, 50, 100 years ago. You're the white moderate. The person that doesn't believe in throwing gay people in jail, but just thinks they shouldn't do it around other people and shouldn't ask for equal rights. The kind of person who thinks that we should abolish slavery, but that black people shouldn't be considered equal to everyone else. Only ever comfortable with social change when it doesn't actually threaten the established norms. You think it's fine to ridicule people that challenge the social structures in place because deep down, you don't really think that things need to change. You don't really care about liberation. You care about not being seen as bigoted.
It's a friendly reminder that most of the trans people who support xenogenders have been brainwashed. Friendly reminder that xenogenders are valid and neopronouns are valid. Friendly reminder that most people who use xenogenders and neopronouns are neurodivergent. So it's a little bit fucking loaded, and by loaded I mean ableist, to be against it. Friendly reminder that saying friendly reminder before a wrong or hateful statement doesn't make you any better of a person. Friendly reminder that you are capable of thinking inside of your brain, and you don't have to talk about what you think. Maybe you should try that so we don't have to listen to you anymore. And finally, to everyone watching this who actually does use xenogenders or neopronouns, actual friendly reminder that you are valid.